You're listening to SM Media. Hi, folks, and welcome to our latest episode of SM Media FC, your Scottish football SM Media podcast. I'm Scott McPike. It's a pleasure, as always, to be your host. I always love these podcasts, and we've got an all-star panel to get through them tonight. It's our 2024-2025 season prediction shows, where we probably look great or look like idiots come the end of the season. I know I do that all the time, but we've got an all-star panel, as I say, to go through it this year as well. It's a pleasure to welcome, first of all, Robbie Boyd.
Thanks for having me on, Scott. I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to ruffling feathers, and I'm looking forward to look like an absolute mug come May.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get the same panel on in May to showcase the mugs we're all going to look. It's a pleasure as well also to be joined by Graham Duthie.
Thank you for me on, mate. Hope you're well.
All good, mate. Yep, looking forward to getting your thoughts, particularly on the kind of race for Europe. It's a pleasure to become a mate. His debut appearance on the show, Charlie Whelan.
Thanks very much, Scott. At long last, but aye, wee bit different for me doing discussion things, but as ever, happy to come on and give you a wee hand.
Pleasure, mate. And we have our championship expert on this episode. I think he's going to be quite confident about his own side. It's a pleasure to welcome Mitchell Fegans.
Good to see you, Scott. Nice to be back on, and we'll need to wait and see how I feel about United come the championship predictor.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're kind of in the mix. We obviously are at the stage of the season where the Premier Sports Cup's been and gone. There's some happy faces, there's some glum faces. In terms of the kind of opening thoughts in the season, Robbie, where are you at with what's been going on in the world of Scottish football since that disastrous night in Stuttgart where Scotland were eliminated by Hungary? Since then, how are we glad to have domestic football back?
I think the madness of the form of the essential kind of take the bad shine off of how the Euros was for us. I'm looking forward to the return of domestic football. I'm looking through my predictions here, and I think genuinely in every league, there's a large proportion of the placing where it's the toss of a coin. It's going to be really interesting across the 42.
Graham, what about yourself? Obviously, quiet season so far for Hearts in terms of friendly action, but disappointing how the Euros went. But I'm quite happy domestic football's back. It's less disappointing, isn't it?
Yeah, I was more happy that England got beat in the final. That made my night after Scotland's disaster. But yeah, I can't wait to have the football back. It's always a build-up. I genuinely don't read much into pre-season games. I know a lot of Hearts fans are not happy with the results. I genuinely couldn't care less. It's pre-season. It's about fitness. But yeah, can't wait to get started on Saturday. I might not be saying that after 5 o'clock, but we'll soon find out.
Charlie as well, obviously, kind of similar story. Premier Sports Cup gave us a wee bit of a starter, but it's time for the main course, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as much as it's still competitive football, there's a lot of teams in there that are fighting for something. You still take a lot of it with a pinch of salt. I mean, you even look at the big teams, well, quote unquote, big teams that are in it. They're just getting ready for the real stuff to return into it. And I've been to a couple of the games as well. I was through Easter Road to see Queen's Park and Hibs. I ended up at East Fife as well, so I did. So it's been nice just to get a wee gentle push back into it, but it's take it all with a pinch of salt and just get ready for Saturday. Yeah.
Mitchell, I'm not going to pick on you too much here, but I did laugh a wee bit at the fact that the whole summer, all I was focusing on was what's the group permutations of the Euros, and then Premier Sports Cup, you finish with 9 points and finish third and don't get through.
Yeah, we had a bit of a stinker with that one, to be honest. We got drawn in the group of champions, Dundee United, Falkirk, Steny, and Buckie This, which was a tough group on first look. We actually performed really, really well across all of the games, and our worst performance, unfortunately, came in the one that mattered most, where we had to win by 3 goals to at least have a small chance of going through. I think it was 5 or 6 in the end to top the group and guarantee it. So disappointing in that respect. But as Charlie said a minute ago, it's almost as if these games are still kind of given that kind of pre-season vibe, and the real stuff starts on Saturday. So as Graham says, come 5 o'clock, I'll need to see how I'm feeling. But for now, I'm quite confident.
Right, let's just get straight into it. The way it's going to work is we're going to start with the Premiership first. We'll do first, second, third, fourth, 11th, 12th. A team you might think overachieves, a team that you think could underachieve. Then we'll do Championship, League One, League Two. We'll do Player of the Year, top goal scorer signings, the 2 domestic cups, and a wee first manager to get the sack or leave at the end. Let's get straight into it. Robbie, who's winning the Premiership and why?
Celtic, purely because even though they've not signed anybody, it just seems more organised than Rangers. And as much as I would love, as a bitter wee team non-Old Firm fan, I would love somebody to go on some sort of FIFA career mode madness and break the dominance. It's not going to happen. So I think Celtic, but I think we need to get their backsides into gear and get some signings over the line.
Graham, who's winning the league?
I would love to say Hearts, but unfortunately that probably won't happen. I'm going to have to go Celtic. I know they've not signed a lot of players yet. They will bring players in. I think Kasper Schmeichel is a fantastic goalkeeper, and that's a great signing for them as a goalkeeper. Rangers, I know they have signed a few players and stuff, Jeff Tay and that lot, but I just think Celtic at the moment, I think, again, pre-season results mean nothing, but they have done all right. I can't really see past Celtic, to be honest.
Charlie, who's winning the league?
I just said that about pre-season no meaning very much. I know I came across as that as well, but I was very much entertained by Celtic's displays in America, but I'll try and keep that out of it. Yeah, Celtic, listen, I can't really see any logical argument for any other way. Financially, head and shoulders above everybody, and it just feels a lot more stable. Like Robbie, I think they said, feels a lot more stable, a lot more organised. It's not like it was a mad rush with Rodgers coming in last season and nobody knowing what was happening. Yeah, Celtic.
Mitchell?
Yeah, I'm going to go for the clean sweep as well. It's hard to see past Celtic, as the guys have said. A lot more stable, a lot more organised. I think as much as they've not made many signings, I think highlighting the Schmeichel signing is a great point. I think a lot of people weren't happy about it because of his age, and they're saying it's going to be a similar situation to Joe Hart next year. I think you've got to look at what Schmeichel's going to offer you this season, both domestically and in European football. For me, he's a world-class goalkeeper in his day. Might not quite be at the level he once was 4 or 5 years ago, but those pre-season performances, you could see that he still has that top quality goalkeeping in him. So yeah, Celtic for me.
Celtic. There's too many questions at Rangers. There's Celtic have fairly stood still. I do think Schmeichel for Hearts are quite a big upgrade, and Celtic have done really well to upgrade the goalkeeping position. Celtic could lose O'Reilly, but I do expect Celtic to be miles ahead of Rangers. There's too many questions at Ibrox for me just now. Well, Hampden at the moment, of what is actually going on here, and I think there's a real issue at Rangers in terms of bringing players in. Celtic to me just are battle hardened. They've won titles, not playing. They weren't great last season. I think like Graham will obviously have Hearts played Celtic off the park at Parkhead last season. But Celtic just showed their class towards the end, and I can see the same thing happening again. Celtic for me win the league. Robbie, who's runners up?
I think it will be Rangers. I really, really want, again, obviously from a professional standpoint as well, I would love for it to be that, I think it was 2006-07 where Hearts split Celtic and Rangers. I would love to see it. I just think that Rangers will get second. You mentioned Hampden there, or Ibrox, whatever way you want to put it. I think that will be a big factor. I think Rangers' wheels will start moving when they do move back to Ibrox, whether that be September, October, whether it be January, whenever. But I think Hearts could have second until Rangers move back into Ibrox.
Graham, I'm expecting the shout of the season here. Who's second?
Again, I would love to say Hearts, and I've got mates that have said they think Hearts can finish second, but the problem that I've got is our lack of consistency.
Okay.
As much as I don't think Rangers have done, yes, they have signed players, they've got that bit more consistency that Hearts just don't have. And the other thing that concerns me slightly is European games. Playing Thursday, Sunday is going to be very difficult. Now, I do think we've got a decent squad. I like the signings that we've made, especially Dandan Spittle. And I think Gerald Taylor right back looks really good. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to say Rangers. I just think the lack of consistency and the European football is going to make us struggle, I think.
Charlie, who's second?
Yeah, I'm not going to quite jump on the Rangers apocalypse bandwagon just yet. Ask me again at Christmas and we'll see. But I'm going to go with Rangers. However, I think if somebody, as in Hearts, if somebody wants to go in and split the old firm, then I think now is the time to do it. But like I say, ask me again at Christmas and I might have a different story for you.
Mitchell, who's second?
Yeah, Rangers for me. As the guy you've said, would love to see Hearts or even someone else try to split the two, but I just can't see it. Despite all the turmoil, like you say, the stadium issue. I think Robbie mentioned that when they go back to Ibrox, I think it'll be a total different side. I think it's going to be really tough playing at Hampden. And another story with that is how's that pitch going to hold up with three teams if you include the national team playing there with Rangers and Queen's Park. So that'll be an interesting one going forward. But no, I just think Rangers have got too much, even though the turmoil, they've got too much in their camp already to have anyone else split them.
Yeah, things are bad at Rangers. I don't think they're bad enough that they'll fall completely off second place, but things do need to change. My big thing with Rangers at the moment is, and I've just discussed this in a previous pod, there seems to be just no structure at the moment. There's not no structure, but just no real sport progression. And I think that's going to be massive between now and the end of August. Like Clement, I do think they've got the right manager in, but I think even his eyes have been opened wide about how chaotic it is, particularly the squad, the wage bill, and I do think they'll be second place. I can see Rangers, if Rangers are in touching distance in January, Rangers could have a wee bit of a splash in January in the transfer window. I think that's what they're banking on, to be honest, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, but I still think they'll get comfortably second. Robbie, third place.
Is definitely Hearts. Definitely. I'm not going to be too bold and put a prediction on whether they'll be closer to second or whether they'll be closer to fourth. But I do think, pun intended, they will definitely be marooned in third.
Graham, I'll be astonished if you're not going with that. What about Hearts this season? Like in third place, like they have signed well. Are they a better side than last season? And it seems to be only Keith Jackson that's making this noise. But how important is Lawrence Shankland going to be?
Keith Jackson's doing my nothing. Every single time I go on Twitter, all I see is him. He's infatuated with Shankland. I was doing my head in. Yeah, we have to keep him. We absolutely have to keep him. And we've already said that we won't accept anything less than 4 to 5 million for him. And yet Keith Jackson's saying we'll accept 3 million. No, we won't. We've already said how much you want. But it's every day. No other outlets talked about it. It's only him. He's got a real infatuation with him. He's not going to sleep with him. I mean, it's a joke. But yeah, we
should say for disclaimer, we're not insinuating that Keith Jackson wants to sleep with Lawrence Shankland, but there is a weird fascination there, isn't there?
But yeah, honestly, it's every day, mate. It's doing my head in. And I genuinely don't think Clement wants him. It seems to be all the media that's speculating.
Not for £5 million, they won't.
No, I don't think he's a Clement type player, which sounds daft because I think Shankland's brilliant. His all-round game's fantastic as a goal scorer. He's better than Dessers for me. But I just don't think he's a Clement type player. But I think the other signings that Hearts have made, I'm very happy with it. And what I'm delighted about is the fact we've done it early. Mm-hmm. Because last season, our first signing was made on the 14th of July, and it was a backup goalkeeper and Michael McGovern who never played.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So I'm delighted with the business we've done. The one thing I'm slightly concerned about is that Stephen Naismith came out today and said that he's not going to have a chosen number one, which I think is wrong. Now, he's basically saying he's going to alternate between Gordon and Clark. I would prefer to have a chosen number one goalkeeper, and he only gets dropped or is out the team if he's injured or he's had a run of form.
And I'm putting a gun to your head. Who is it?
For me, it's Xander Clark. I think Clark was excellent last season. I love Craig Gordon to bits. He's a legend for me. He's a hero. But Xander Clark played 42 games last season and he was brilliant. Saved us on numerous occasions. I have to take sentiment out of it and go what I think is better. And for me, it's Xander Clark. But Nazy said that he won't have a number one, which for me personally is the wrong choice.
Yeah. Charlie, who's in third?
Yeah, I'm going to save my bolder picks for later on. Absolutely Hearts, best of the rest. I've been quite interested in Anne Budge saying about how she is open all ears when it comes to investment. Listen, if somebody's going to put money into Hearts, I think it's now. Do you know, I'm probably going to echo that like this is the time. If somebody's going to come in and split the old firm, it's now. I'm not saying they're going to necessarily, but I don't think we can argue with that. Kelly, great season last season. Aberdeen, I'm backing them to have a better season, but no, I don't think any. I think Hearts are very, very much solidified in third place.
Mitchell, third.
Yep, agreeing with the rest. Going with Hearts. I think comfortably is probably the easiest pick of them all. To be honest, they've signed really well. Obviously, Dander, Spittle, James Penrice, I think is a pretty astute signing as well. And then obviously, because we'll kill him with the sale of Alex Cochrane to Birmingham City, which will be a big loss, I assume. But as Graham says, if you've got Lauren Shatton in your team, then you've got every chance of a goal at the other end of the park. Only thing that I could see damaging their season again would probably be the European football. Thursday, Sundays it is tough, but I still think they've got the squad and the personnel to be comfortable in third.
Yeah, can't see past Hearts. I just think I thought they were way ahead of everybody last season, and I think they've massively improved. Dander's a terrific signing, different type of player as well. Penrice and Spittle are going to make a difference as well. I really like the boy Ayoke. Don't be surprised if he comes up later on for me. And they just look as if they're sorting out key areas. They just look as if they're kind of tidying up where they maybe needed to last season. And I can see Hearts finishing third comfortably. Robbie, probably more intriguing. Who's fourth? I don't think we'll be all in agreement here.
I don't think we will. I've went Aberdeen.
Okay.
Purely because I like the ideas that Jimmy. Is it Thielen? Is it Thielen?
I think
Tilleen,
it's,
I think it is.
I think it's
Thielen.
Thielen. Yeah.
It's Tilleen, I think. Aye.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyway, Jimmy, I like the ideas that he's kind of bringing across. I think when they do sell Miovski, they'll get Champions League worthy money for them if he does go to Bologna. And I think between Cormac and Burrows, I think Aberdeen will go and spend that. I think they will. So yeah, I think Aberdeen.
Graham, who's fourth?
No word of a lie. I wrote my predictions down, and I'm agreeing with Robbie. I've said Aberdeen as well. I think
Okay.
Thielen will do a really good job. Majowski obviously is a big one. They did lose Connor Barron. I don't know how much of a miss that's going to be, because I do think he's a decent player, but will he be that massive a miss? I have a feeling that Aberdeen will probably get fourth.
Charlie, who's fourth?
Well, believe it or not, I'm going to have to agree with the other two. I'm
Okay.
going to go Aberdeen because ultimately, I mean, that squad should be up there, and it's been a few years of a bit of mismanagement and jumping the gun. And I know you ultimately couldn't not give Barry Robson the job there, but it did show as time went on. That squad, that team that they can put out, is something that should be finishing up and challenging for the European spots. Jimmy Tilleen seems quite sound, down to earth, and I think ultimately with a manager that's got his head screwed on a wee bit and knows what he's doing, I don't see why it shouldn't be a fairly comfortable fourth place for them.
Mitchell, who's fourth?
This is going to be an interesting one, especially coming from a United fan. But I was going to put Kilmarnock in fourth, and I've gone with Kilmarnock purely based on the fact that having watched them a good amount of times last season and having watched them in Europe against Cercle Bruges, they did not look anything apart from them. I thought, if anything, they deserve to win that game. They've kept the core group of their squad from last season together. They've re-signed Ndaba on a 3-year contract, added Bruce Anderson, who can score goals at Premiership level, added Robin McCrory, who kindly let in a couple of howlers against us to win the so-called friendly. So forever be thankful for that, Robbie. Thank you. But no, I think he'll be a really good signing in the long term. And I just think that Derek McInnes can work his magic there again. Although I wouldn't be surprised, as the guys say, if Aberdeen do sneak fourth spot. But I'm going to go with Kilmarnock purely just to be different.
I was between Aberdeen and Kilmarnock. Aberdeen edge it for me because I like their business they've done so far. I do think Miovski will go, but I'm with Robbie. I can see them spending the money. I don't think they'll spend 6 million on a striker, but I think they'll be. I think their business has been really good. Meatop, I think, it's a terrific signing. Boy, Nielsen really stood out as well. There's some good work being done at Aberdeen, and I think just how chaotic it's been. They've went a different direction. They've not just went for the guy who came in just to be a safe pair of hands and they give him the job when he's clearly not qualified. They're going and finding a good manager in the continent and giving him money, giving him time. Celine or Jimmy, whatever his name is, I do think he will be a difference maker for Aberdeen. Kilmarnock, it's just how far they go in Europe. I do think Kilmarnock are comfortably top six. I just think it will be between Aberdeen and Kilmarnock for fourth spot, and I'm just going to edge Aberdeen. And I can see Miovski being replaced, and I think they've done fairly well. I think they can say to Miovski, whatever money they get for him, you've done well for us. We can move on, and I think they'll be fairly comfortable when they move on from Miovski. Right, who's overachievers? You can look at this last season and say maybe St Mirren, Dundee, sides who get into the top six who you maybe didn't expect to. Robbie, which side can you see maybe that could overachieve this season, maybe perform miracles?
Again, I'll go Dundee. And I mean,
Okay.
I went, forgive me, Scott, I kind of went through 2 weeks ago after the second Viaplay or Premier Sports Cup game, and I predicted the whole 42. So I've got my every single league table up in front of me, and I put Dundee in sixth. Now, I know that might not be overachieving as such, but I think they've actually overachieved with the signings they've brought in. I think keeping a hold of Luke McCowan in its own is an overachievement. I think getting Simon Murray ahead of bigger clubs, i.e. Hibs, I think that's an overachievement. So Dundee are going to be my overachievers this year.
Graham, who's your overachievers?
I've gone Dundee United, but not because I think they're going to get top six, because I don't think they're going to go straight back down like a lot of folk think. I think they'll probably finish about seventh. I think the signing of Ryan Strain's a big one, because I didn't think he got United. He was someone that wanted at Hearts. I think that's a big one for United getting him. I know they have signed another number of players as well, but Ryan Strain's a good signing for them. So I think United will actually do a lot better than some folk think they will.
Okay, Charlie, who's your overachievers?
Yeah, I'm going to say the exact same there. Now, it's purely based off of league position by definition that, of course, the team coming up is the one expected to get back down, theoretically. I think Dundee United will stay up. I didn't think they were very comfortable in going about their business last season. Raith Rovers were very much up their arse for most of it, and then they finally got the finger out. But yeah, I'm going to go Dundee United on definition alone in terms of somebody that I don't think we'll see a St Mirren shooting into the European spots or anything again, but that's about as far as I can go with that.
Mitchell, who's your overachievers?
I'm going Dundee again. Similar reasons to Robbie, as you mentioned. Luke McCowan's a fantastic player to keep a hold of. Simon Murray, facing competition from Hibs a couple of years ago, you would not think that a player would be choosing Dundee over Hibs if it came to that kind of choice. But he has 16 goals last season for Ross County, and a team who ultimately struggled, stayed up through the playoffs. So proven goal scorer at that level, and he's been flying in the League Cup group stages as well, albeit against lower league opposition. You've still got to score the goals. So I think the signing of him's huge, and keeping hold of, like I say, the majority of their squad from last season. Tony Docherty at the helm, I can see them doing pretty well again.
I'm going with Dundee United. I was between Dundee United and Motherwell. Motherwell recruitment looks good in paper, but I watched them against Partick Thistle and I thought they were fairly average, to be honest. They might just gel. I think it might be new manager that might do that. I'm not going to just spoil that straight away, but I don't think there's a lot of people mad keen on Stuart Kettlewell at Fir Park, like fan-wise. And that, to me, says that they might take a bit of time to get going. Dundee United, I think, have been fairly good in terms of recruitment. I do like the signing of Ryan Strain. I do think they're better than what they were last season. I just think last season, the Championship is, if you don't get off to a fast start, if you have a wee inconsistent run, you can get fairly found out. And they did show the class towards the end. And I do think that was a squad that really underachieved last season and still won the league. And I think they've added a couple of good players. Like, I like the look at a couple of players that they brought in. The boy, is it Trapnovsky, the Macedonian? He looks a good player. They've not lost a lot in terms of kind of players that I don't think a lot of players have left that I would think are big losses. Like McMahon obviously went to United. I think he's been replaced with the boy Ferry from Cheltenham. Strain's a good signing. I'm going to go with Dundee United. I was between Dundee United and Motherwell. I just think Dundee United will probably challenge for top six. Robbie, who's underachievers? Who's a side that you think could be well fancied but will disappoint?
I'm doubting myself because you guys have backed them all the way through the podcast. Kilmarnock, purely because I think they'll go further in Europe than St Mirren, and I think it will be kind of how Aberdeen faltered last season, where I think they'll egg in the basket for Europe and the finances that brings. Now, I'm not for a minute suggesting Derek McInnes would take his eye off the league because he's not that type of manager, but I just think they'll get caught up in that fixture pile-up.
Okay. Graham? I know where you're going here.
This is going to be people saying I'm biased, but I'm genuinely not. I'm saying Hibs just because I think the appointment of David Gray is a massive, massive risk. Now, I know he's a club legend at Hibs, but he's got really, and I know he had a couple of caretaker roles, but this is his first big job. Kind of the same as Stephen Naismith. But I just don't know if it's going to work. I know they've got a couple of players in just now. They've got a goalkeeper and they've got a couple of centre-backs. But I mean, that defeat to Kelty Hearts left them really in a bit of a disastrous position because they've ended up getting Celtic in the next round of the Cup. So I just have a feeling that Hibs might struggle this season.
Charlie, who's your underachievers?
I'm once again going to go very definition into league standings last season. I'm going to go St Mirren on the basis I don't think they're going to replicate what they did last season. I don't think it's necessarily going to be a bad season for them. But I just feel this season isn't going to maybe be as full of surprises. So we're having to clutch a wee bit here when it comes to underachievers. But I'm going to go St Mirren purely on the basis that they won't be up in qualifying for Europe again.
Okay, Mitchell?
Yeah, I agree with Charlie. I'm going to do St Mirren as well, for largely similar reasons. Again, obviously it was a pretty unreal season they had last year, qualifying for Europe, and as a St Mirren fan, you wouldn't probably expect that. Like you've said, Charlie, I don't think it's going to be a bad season for them, but I just think, as you say, based on where they finished last year, I think they'll be well below that, comfortably above the drop, but just mid-table for me.
I'm leaning towards St Mirren. I think losing the likes of Bacchus and Strain are quite big losses, like Dunsaway as well. Recruitment looks Sean Rooney could be a big player as well. Like I think they could underachieve and finish like 9th, which is still very good for St Mirren, but in terms of last season, it's a bit of a drop. I don't think there's a lot of sides that are quite unfancied. Like I think Hibs could do okay. Like I do think they've still got a lot of quality there. I can see the David Gray appointment being a bit of a red herring. Like it's when's it worked? When's that sort of idea worked? Naismith's probably the one I can think of that's, and there's still the jury's out. I mean, Naismith could have a bad start and be in trouble. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a lot more pressure if you're a club legend, and there's a lot more in pressure in terms of himself. He will be looking at this going, I don't want to ruin my legacy. I think Hibs will be fine though. I think they'll be challenging top 6. I don't have any doubts. St Mirren I can see underachieving by finishing 9th. Who's 11th, Robbie? Who finishes in the relegation playoff spot?
It'll be St Johnstone.
Okay.
I don't want to give it away, because my reasoning for that will be answered in another question, Scott. There you go, cloak and dagger.
That's fine. Graham, who's 11th?
I kind of think I know where Robbie's going to go, the other one, so I've gone the other way. I'm going Ross County. Again, I think they're going to struggle again. They've lost basically two of the best players, Simon Murray and Jan Dander. I know they've signed a few other players. Ronan Hale, I know he got 32 goals in 60 games for Cliftonville, but can he make a step to the Premier League? I'm not sure, so I'm going Ross County for 11th.
Charlie, who's 11th?
I am going to go with Motherwell, and
Okay.
I'm going to go along the same lines as Robbie and say that my reasoning will come under another question.
Mitchell, who's 11th?
This could be quite a controversial one, and I could be showing up like terribly at the end of the season. But I was going to go Dundee. I'm going to go Dundee United 11th because having watched them last season 4 games against Ayr United, I thought they were really, really poor to watch.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. I think Ayr United were, I mean, even more poor in some of those games, but especially in the games under Scott Brown that we've played against Dundee United and in the one in the League Cup. And I know I say I don't count pre-season too much. I just thought they were really, really slow. They didn't seem to have that much penetration going forward. They lacked a little bit of pace. I do agree with you that the two Macedonian players with Babinski and Sapanovsky could be
well
really
done
good.
in their pronunciations, by the way, better than me.
Purely because I think Babinski scored something like 3 or 4 goals in as many games in the League Cup group stages, including a rocket against us, and they've got a couple of exciting exciting young players coming through. So it could be proven wrong come the end of the season. But yeah, I think it could be another tough season for them and for Jim Goodwin as well. Wouldn't be surprised if he's one to go.
I'm going to go for Ross County in 11th, and I've got a lot of time for Don Cowie. I think he's the right guy to take their club legend. Not a lot of pressure on him because I don't think there's a lot of pressure on the club at the moment. And 11th place is probably as good as they can hope for, to be honest. And I think it would probably be success. 12th place, Robbie. Let's hear your cloak and dagger reason. Who's finishing bottom?
It's going to be Ross County, I think. Again, like yourself, despite the trauma inducing experience in June 2023, I've got a lot of time for Ross County and a lot of time for Don Cowie. I do think he's the right man to continue them on in the Championship.
Okay, Graham, who's 12th?
Bye St Johnstone. I know they signed a lot of players. I mean, basically Craig Levine's making a Hearts C team because they signed about 4 ex-Hearts players. I just don't see any way they stay up. I genuinely don't. I think Levine's going to struggle. And I know we'll get to the question later on about managers. I've probably just given it away. But yeah, I think St Johnstone are going down.
Charlie, who's finishing bottom of the pile?
I'm going to go with Ross County, and I very much echo the statement of Don Cowie. Great guy by the looks of it, and he's definitely the man to carry them on. They're by far and away the smallest club in the league, aren't they? And that's not a Twitter type insult or anything, but yeah, they've had a magical couple of few seasons. Of course, Malky took them into the top 6, which now that really puts it into perspective what an accomplishment that was, by the way. But as we say, the playoffs, my God, I mean, staying up by the skin of your teeth, that is wow. Even last season as well, it for me really showed the gulf between the Premiership and the Championship, and considering how good Wraith Rovers were, and they pretty simply dispatched them. However, yeah, I'm going to go Ross County. Don Cowie keeps his job in the Championship if he wants it.
Mitchell, who do you think finishes bottom?
I'm going to go St Johnstone to be automatically relegated. I think, again, building a Hearts C team, as Graham said, the amount of ex-Hearts players have signed is quite interesting. They signed Jack Sanders, ex-Kilmarnock, ex-Ayr United, spent time on loan at us last year and looked good in the Championship, although was susceptible to the odd mistake sometime, doing a little bit too much on the ball. I just don't think they've got the squad to stay up in this league. I just think it's been a few seasons now where they've been touch and go with the drop, and they've got away with it playing Inverness Calgary in the playoff final a few years ago. They were totally burnt out after playing 4 or 5 games to get there. I think they've been quite lucky to stay up for the last couple of years, even last year in the final day, avoiding the playoffs again. I think this time is going to be their time, St Johnstone, to go down.
I think St Johnstone are absolutely nailed on. This is the one concrete prediction I have. I think St Johnstone are nailed on. I think I am loving the new and improved Craig Levein. I'm loving him, and I genuinely hope he stays in football forever. But he just seems to be just at the stage of, I'm quite happy doing my podcast with Amy Irons. I've got a job with St Johnstone. I don't really care. I'm happy doing that. And he just seems to have brought back all his pals. And do you remember a couple of years ago when they brought back Busted and McFly? That's sort of what this reminds me of. Way past the prime, just for one last throw of the dice, just to make Craig Levein happy, just to give him one last push before he chucks it and speaks to managers every week, which I think is quite good. I would urge folk to listen to the podcast because it is fairly entertaining. But St Johnstone, to me, I think it's probably time for them to go. They've threatened it for a few years, but I think now the time is up for them. Let's move into the Championship, and we'll just go for who do you think wins. Robbie, I think that's a fairly intriguing league. I think there's 6 or 7 sides that could be contending to win this. Who do you have coming out on top?
My apologies to any non-wrestling fans listening to this or in the Zoom room here, right? But finish the story. Please, the Harold of Rags, the Maryhill Magyars, gonna just do it, please, because I can't anymore. Please, Partick Thistle, win the championship.
Graham, who wins the championship?
I think this is probably the most competitive league in Scotland, to be fair. There's so many teams could actually win this, but I've gone with Partick as well. Okay. It has to happen eventually. I've gone Partick.
Charlie, who wins at the championship?
Yeah, I very much echo that. I'm going to go Partick Thistle. However, I'm also going to echo that. Is there a case for pretty much every team in that division to actually give it a go? Do you know, that's
Yeah.
how exciting it is. And even at that, everybody in the playoffs will at least give it a go as well. I'm going to very much agree. Finish the story. Is that Cody Rhodes, Robbie?
As yeah.
Ah, good.
Yeah.
There we go then. I'm going to do it without the Cody Rhodes mention, but aye, Partick Thistle, and I might add Airdrie to go up in the playoffs just to roll the dice there a wee bit.
Okay. Mitchell, is they
Yep,
finishing their story, or is it too early?
I think like the boys have said, I think pretty much every club in this division, Ayr Cody, I think Ayr are going to be up there this season. I'm really positive going into this year. I just think the way we've been playing under Scott Brown is just so exciting, so refreshing. Actually playing some football again, with some really good attack-minded players, creating chances for Dowds and Oakley up front is a pretty exciting prospect. However, I've gone for a bit of an interesting one. I've gone for a double jump. I've gone Falkirk to win the league purely because I've watched them against Dundee United this season. I watched them against us. We beat them 1-0, but they created numerous chances. They've got, for me, two of the best wingers in the league in Calvin Miller and Callum Morrison.
Yeah.
Sorry, they're really, really positive. They get McKeever up front, who's a real threat from cross balls, and they love to whip a cross in. So, and I think they've recruited well as well. McKenna from Arbroath, Jamie Stearns, a decent backup, re-signing Ethan Ross, Dylan Tate, and they're all experienced players. And with John McGlynn as coach, then anything can happen. So I'm going to go Falkirk to get the double promotion.
I am with Mitchell here. I think Falkirk could be the team to beat. I think they were unbeaten last season. Really, really impressive. Beat Dundee United in the group stages of the Premier Cup, and I think they've actually improved as a side. And I think I think it's going to be a very, very even race. I think Airdrie have a lot of credit, obviously, for last season. Really well coached. Livingston, I think, could do okay. Partick and Wraith probably will do well as well. I can see Ayr doing well. Queen's Park could be up there. One side I don't see being up there is Dunfermline. I think if we're doing this first manager out, James McPake could be on that list. But I'm just going to edge Falk. I think they're really well coached. There's a feel good factor back there, and I think they will just edge it here. Robbie, League One. I kind of know where you're going, but just clarify it, please.
I'm not.
Okay.
Because I'm glass half empty when it comes to us, Scott. I think we being Queens, I think we've recruited well. But again, fan hat off, professional hat on. I am going to go with Alloa.
Okay.
Because when I was going through the squads, not in comparison, but I was going through the squads, I'm like, right, they've kept him. Oh, they've added him. He's quite good. Right, okay. I just do think they will just get results. I think last season they were quite good at keeping clean sheets. So I think if they can add goals on top of clean sheets, I think they'll win the league.
Okay.
So I'm not going for my own team. I'm going for Alloa.
Graham, who wins League One?
Folk are going to think me and Robbie have spoke before the show, but I actually don't even know him. But I went for Alloa as well. It was between Alloa and Montrose for me, and I just slightly went for Alloa to win it.
Okay. Charlie, who's winning League One?
An air of nepotism in the sense that it was one of my most enjoyable interviews that I've done on my own show. And I'm going to go with my old pal Stuart Petrie and his Montrose side. Look, you've got the two big boys out of the league now. Falkirk and Hamilton are gone. That opens it up for your Alloas, your Montrose, your Cove Rangers, Arbroath, of course, and Cali Thistle in there as well. They'll want to be going straight back up. I think Duncan Ferguson is probably the man more than anybody that wants to go up this season. Otherwise, his employment hopes are up in the air, if not. However, yeah, I think I look at Alloa, no, of course not, Montrose, and I think it's a team that has just gotten better and better and better every single year that Stuart's been in the job. They've never been in danger at all. It's always been nice and solid. I can't really bet against them this season. Playoffs at the very least, as usual.
Okay. Mitchell, who wins League One?
I've gone for Queen of the South based on the appointment of Peter Murphy as manager. I think he did excellently well with Aaron to keep him up last season on a shoestring budget. I actually went and watched Aaron Queen of the South last season, and I thought Aaron really, really impressive. I liked Peter Murphy's style of play. There was a clear identity that you could see watching from the stands. They recruited really well. Signs like Kai Kennedy, I mean, at that level is brilliant. Benjamin Lassant making the jump from Annan across as well. Some real good players at that level. Mikey Hewitt as well has experience at Ayr United and in the Championship. So yeah, I'm gonna go for Queen of the South to win the league.
This is a really hard one for me. I'll tell you who it won't be. It will not be Inverness. I have seen a price. Just let me go here. Inverness are 11-2 to win the league. They could be 112-1. They have no. Their recruitment has been pretty non-existent. They've lost a lot of players. It just seems a chaotic situation. I should say off the bat, I hope everything works out for Inverness. I can see Duncan Ferguson joining Carlo Ancelotti. Well, I genuinely think he'll just go, I've had enough here. I can't deal with it. I know he's getting well paid. They are not winning this league. Under no circumstances are Inverness winning this league. They will be probably closer to relegation than they will be top of the league. I'm just going to say that out loud.
Yeah.
I'm between Arbroath and Queen of the South. And I like Arbroath's recruitment, actually. I think Callum Gallagher's a terrific bit of business, bringing him in. They've obviously done pretty well with the boy McAdams coming back as well. Gavin Riley's a good signing. Keith Watson, I think, is a good bit of experience. I can see them just improving and being solid again. I just think Arbroath last season, they just found it too hard for them. And I'm going to edge Queen of the South, though, and not just because Robbie's on, but similar to Mitchell, really like the recruitment. And I think Peter Murphy and Colin McMenamin's an excellent management pairing. Lassant, Douglas, Kennedy, as Mitchell's mentioned. Good bit of youth in there as well. The boy Craig coming in from Kilmarnock's a good signing. I really like Hogarth as well for Rangers. Just a really good mix in there, and I really like the business that's been done, and I really like the coaches. So I'm going to just edge Queen of the South, but Queen of the South are both. It's going to be a very tight race. Robbie, League Two, who's winning there? I think this could be a really good league as well.
Sorry, Dad, if you're listening. It's going to be the team from Shawfield.
Okay.
Yeah, they've recruited well. They've kept out a hold of good players like Sabari Kudahi, fantastic. Obviously Logan Dunneke turned up at Firhill and did a number. And again, they beat Thistle in their cup final. It's our cup final as well, let's be honest. But yeah, it'll be Clyde.
Graham, who wins League Two?
This is Spartans. I'm going Spartans because they're not far from me. I think they've had a decent run in the Premier Sports Cup, look quite decent. I'm going to go Spartans.
Charlie, who wins League Two?
I'm going to back the Bunnet, so I'm going to go for East Fife. And had I not had a very interesting chat with someone that I might have just named there yesterday actually, I might not have said East Fife, but after listening to what someone who's going to be very pivotal to any success next season had to say about them, I'm very much enthralled. I'm a slightly biased because I'm technically a half East Fifer, yes, but listen, the Campbells want one thing, and that's promotion, and they certainly want another Arbroath story. I'll tell you that. So I'm going to go for East Fife.
Mitchell, who's winning League Two?
I've gone for Ian McCall's Clyde. I just think the recruitment's been exceptional, especially for that level. The attacking style that Ian McCall likes to play, having watched his teams at Ayr United and Partick Thistle, really attacking. I think they could easily quite easily outscore that division. Likes of Lee Connolly, Jordan Allen, Jordan Houston, Kyle Connell, Tommy Robson from Queen's Park. Some of these are excellent signings for that level and could probably play at least a level, if not 2 levels above some of them. So yeah, I'm going to go for Ian McCall's Clyde to win the league.
Yeah, me and Mitchell were in agreement on all 3 of the Championship, League One and League Two, because I think Clyde are pretty good. I think the recruitment's been fairly good for all the reasons it's been mentioned. And I think I love Ian McCall when he gets a side right, and I think he's on a fairly good chance here. There's good sides in this, like Peterhead I think could be quite strong. Spartans are decent as well. Forfar could rise up the league, actually. They could do pretty well. But I think Clyde will be hard to beat. So we're in agreement, obviously, myself and Mitchell, in terms of Clyde. Robbie's there as well. Let's do the cups and then we'll move into the kind of player of the year. Robbie, Scottish Cup, who wins that?
I would love for it to be some sort of romance story where it's anybody apart from them, but I just see Celtic having a clutch hold on it.
Graham, who wins the Scottish Cup?
Boring, but I'm going to say Celtic.
Charlie?
Graham, I'm going to make you a happy man. There's something nagging at me that, as much as Celtic will be the all-powerful team once again this season, I just can't see it being a clean sweep of the trophies. I think Celtic may win the League Cup if it's a nice quick start, which I'd love to see. But end of the season, when it starts to really get into the trenches, anything can happen in these, especially the semi-final games. I'm going to go out and say Hearts are going to finally win a trophy.
Charlie's a
First time
good
in a
man. I
while.
like him.
That's my job done for the night now.
Mitchell, who wins Scottish Cup?
Again, boring answer, but Celtic for me.
Yeah, I think Celtic for the reason they won it last season. I just think they're the side with the most longevity and the battle. I keep saying the word battle hardened, but I do really believe that Celtic just when it gets to kind of March onwards, I just think Celtic are a league beyond everybody else. And I think the Scottish Cup, they won it last season because they were the better, more attritional side, and that's how you win the Scottish Cup, and that's how they're going to win it this year. I think. Who wins the League Cup, Robbie?
Hold on to your hats, everybody. No, I'm going to go St Mirren.
Okay.
I think, well, no, I don't think. I think the law of averages, they are due a trip to Hampden. How close they've been coming the last 2 seasons, they are absolutely due a trip to Hampden. And Charlie teed me up perfectly. Anything can happen in these semi-final games, remember. They could get a favourable draw and they could find themselves in a final. And yeah, I think Stephen Robinson still has the scars of the 2 cup finals with Motherwell. And I think he would be better equipped this time with a slightly better team and a slightly better forward line than he did with Motherwell in 2017-18. So
Okay.
St Mirren League Cup.
Graham, who wins the League Cup?
I've said this in a couple of the podcasts, and I'm not going to change my mind now. I'm going with Hearts.
Okay. Charlie, League Cup.
Robbie, are you the guy behind that expected goals Twitter account with those low averages or something? Is that what's happening here? Because
I'm not that smart when it comes to maths, mate.
I neither, mate. I'm an English. Well, I'm not an Englishman. I'm more of a English subject man myself. I'm going to go for Celtic because I envision Celtic to have a fast start to the season, and I think ultimately they're going to carry that momentum through. And like I say, the Scottish Cup is a different story as it's later on in the season. But I'm going to go safe. I'm going to go the pick that I would very much like to happen, and that's to Celtic win the League Cup.
Okay. Mitchell, League Cup.
Yeah, again, boring, but Celtic for me, I just think they've got too much for the rest. I think, as Charlie says, they're going to have a fast start. They're going to come out the traps flying, and I think they'll pick up the first trophy of the season.
I'm going to go different. I don't want to pick Celtic winning a treble. I can see Rangers winning a League Cup, and I think that's the lot. And it's not enough to please the support, but they did well to win it last season, and I think Clermont deserves a lot of credit. I can see something similar happening where Celtic maybe get a hard away tie later on in the competition and struggle, where Rangers get a fairly kind of comfortable route to the final. I know they played Hearts in the semi last season. They kind of just clicked at that point and then won the final. I was at the final last year, and I thought they just edged it on the day. And I can see it being a similar story. It kind of gives the support a boost, but then they kind of fall apart towards later on in the season. So Rangers for me to win the League Cup, but again could be fairly interesting to see what happens there. Right, Player of the Year, Robbie. Who do you think is going to be the standout player in the league this season?
So if we're going to go in Premiership, then Scott, he's not even signed yet, right? Paulo Bernardo.
Okay.
Purely following Matt O'Reilly's success last season, he is the heir to that throne.
Okay.
I rated him before he decided to turn into Van Basten against Dundee on Boxing Day. There's definitely a player in there, and I think he will be Player of the Year.
Graham, who's Player of the Year?
Oh, clearly Shackland, of course it is.
Okay. Charlie?
See, I really hate this question because, as we know, how much attacking players are definitely favoured in awards like this. I mean, how many defenders win a Ballon d'Or? You know, I'm going to go with Kyogo on the basis that he's the top goal scorer, because I don't think a striker can really get that if he doesn't. If he doesn't get the top goal scorer, then I'm going to have a much longer and harder think about that. But I'm just going to go with that for the now.
Okay. Mitchell, who's Player of the Year?
Again, a little bit of bias coming in here due to his time at United, but I'm going to go for Lawrence Shankland just purely on the basis that I think he's going to be a top scorer in the league this season. I can't see past him.
Okay. I think if he's injury free, Rio Hatate could have a sensational season. I think this could be his real time. He's already just sensational, but this season, if he's able to get kind of 40, 50 appearances, I think he could be a standout player. So impressive just in kind of the stages he had last season. I don't think it was a coincidence that Celtic clicked into gear when he returned to the side. And to me, Rio Hatate, and I wouldn't put anybody off Alistair Johnson as well if he's able to stay fit for the season. Robbie,
do you think Hatate's seeing the season out then, Scott? Do you think he'll be at Celtic come May?
Yes. I think he'll certainly stay past the summer because I think they'll be mad to sell Hatate and O'Reilly, and I think O'Reilly's definitely going. I think another season for Hatate just to have that full season because he has had injury hiccups, full season, and then he makes a move because I think he deserves that. I think he's been terrific, and I'll be surprised if he's not there come May and then decides to move on, which his talents deserve. Robbie, who's top goal scorer?
I went Shankland, and that's not just to get back in Graham's good books. I think whether he's wearing a blue jersey or, hopefully he keeps a maroon one on for the season, I think Hearts maximise his value. They don't cave in. They don't sell him in January. They don't sell him this window. They keep him, and yeah, he gets them. Doesn't get them third, but helps the charge to third. So Lawrence Shankland, top scorer.
Graham, just confirm where you're going here.
Yeah, Keith Jackson will be gutted tonight because I'm going Shankland in a Hearts jersey, Keith.
Charlie?
Well, I'm probably back out of Graham's good books now, even though I had a great start there as well. Sorry, my granddad was a Hearts man, all right, so I'll just put that one out there. I am going to go with, well, I alluded to it just there. I'm going to go with Kyogo on the basis that I believe that the style of play with Rodgers, it's not going to be as boring or it's not going to be as reliant on a Moussa Dembele type builder striker. I think we're going to see a lot more Ange Bolly type cutbacks and wee quick moves, which is going to benefit him. And even in the games against City and Chelsea, there he was doing a lot of dropping into bounce passes off. So I think he's going to be a lot more involved this season. Of course, if the Adamida deal gets across the line, of course, if they cave into all his protests by the looks of it, then who knows? It may be a different story. But we can all just presume we can only play the hand we've been dealt, can't we? So I'm going to go with him.
Mitchell, who's top goal scorer?
Lawrence Shankland.
I'm Shankland as well. I'm in the Shankland camp as well. I can see him getting top goal scorer, not being player of the year, but I think he'll be in the run. And just so important to Hearts build-up play, and everything they do goes round Shankland. And Graham, I don't think it's a coincidence. He looked a far better player last season. He looked as if he was able to. You could look at him and say he was just a finisher. He wasn't really much. His technical ability seemed to improve last year. And he's got better players around him this season, I think. And I can see Shankland improving his tally. And I think there's a 0.01% chance that he is in a Rangers shirt. Hearts don't need to sell him, do they?
No, absolutely not. If we keep him another season and he gets us back at Europe, that gets £5 million. So that more than pays for the fact he could leave for nothing in the summer. But
what's the chances of him signing a new deal?
He's been offered the best deal we can offer him. And I don't think it's about money with Shankland. I think if he decides that he wants to try something different, I personally don't think he'll stay in Scotland. I think he will go down south. He might even try abroad again because it didn't work in Belgium.
I think there's a wee motivation there to try abroad. I've kind of got that vibe, yeah.
But I think the thing with Shankland is a lot of folk look at him and think he's a goal scorer. He's not. His all-round game is far better than folk give him credit for.
Yeah.
His link-up play is great. His movement's really good. He brings other folk into the game. The only thing he lacks is pace, but it doesn't matter. The thing for me, and again, going back to Scotland, I think he should have got a lot more time with Scotland than what he got. I don't think Che Adams did that much. I'd have liked to see Shankland brought on earlier, but I just think he's so important, and he's the best striker we've had since John Robertson, and that was 1998. I go back to 59 goals in 2 seasons is incredible.
Yeah,
but his all-round game is far better than folk give him credit for.
Right, let's move into the final 2 categories. Signing of the season. Robbie, who do you think could be the signing of the season?
From the Premiership, yeah.
Yeah.
Simon Murray. For Dundee, I think so.
Graham?
I'm going to Hearts player, no surprise, but I'm not going for an attacking player. I'm going for Gerald Taylor, the guy we got from Costa Rica. 60 minutes against Tottenham said to me, this guy's world class. Okay, maybe slightly over exaggerated, but this guy looks class. So I'm going Gerald Taylor.
Okay. Charlie, who's your signing of the season?
Based off merely ability, I'm going to say Schmeichel. However, for me, it's a toss-up between, I'm backing your good books now, Graham. I'm going to go with Jan Danda because you certainly don't do yourself too many problems putting a creative man in behind Lawrence Shankland. You might also bring some of the other players into it. And then if I could divide it up 50-50 here, I'd say Mitov will be a very good signing for Aberdeen. And, you know, you need to build your base of defence, don't you? And ultimately that's going to be where Aberdeen... It's where a lot of their success is going to come from because they've got the players to go forward and it's just about do they have the guys to clear it up at the back. So in reality, really, it's a toss-up between Danda and Mitov for me.
Mitchell, who's your signing of the season?
If we're speaking about the Premiership, I'm going to go with Kasper Schmeichel for similar reasons as I was mentioning earlier on why I thought it was a good signing. I just think he's still a world-class goalkeeper. Whether you only have him for a season or not, I think bringing in Sinisalo as well, that'll probably be the future number one with Celtic. And I think that'll be a great learning curve for him to learn from Schmeichel this season. I think he'll help a lot in Europe as well, having played in these matches before. And if we're going to go wider Scottish football, one man to watch, I'm going to be very biased here, Marco Roos.
Yes, I was going to get your thoughts on him, yeah. I was really impressed with him.
Wonderful, wonderful goal at Tannadice. He kind of dribbled by 3 or 4 men and tucked it into the corner, and he just oozes confidence, but he's just loves football. And you can see it in the way he plays. He's like one of those throwback street footballers. You know, he just wants to get the ball and attack. So he's definitely one to watch, wanting to watch this season.
I've got 4 or 5 here that I could go, but I'm going to just go for the one that I think could kick on a team, and that is Sivert Nielsen for Aberdeen. One of the first targets that Jimmy Thielen had, and I think he will free up the likes of Shinnie to get forward. I think his distribution looks very good. Jamie McGrath, I think, will have a terrific season because there's a bit more protection. I can see Clarkson being able to improve as well. I think Nielsen could be a difference maker in that defensive midfield position, and he frees up a lot of the players alongside him. For me, it's going to be Nielsen, but there's the likes of Schmeichel could be a big player. Connor Barron could do really well at Rangers as well. Hearts, I think you could pick out 4 or 5. Blair Spittle's the one I think could be very, very good. The boy O'Hara for Hibs could be good as well, but I'm going to go for Nielsen for Aberdeen. Right, first manager to leave the sack race. Robbie, who's going to be the first Premiership manager to be down the job centre?
In the words of Lemmy, when you face God's judgment, don't back down, double down. I'm going to give you a reason why. It's going to be Craig Levein, and he's going to be replaced by Rhys McCabe.
Okay. Graham?
There you go.
When you sign Uche Piazza, who doesn't score goals, you're in trouble. Craig Levein is going.
Charlie?
I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going to go Kettlewell. Of course, I said Motherwell would finish 11th. I think they're going to have a slow start in Scott. Like you said, you're not too sure about the kind of mood with Kettlewell himself. And I think when the fans aren't too sure on you, it's no 3 strikes and you're out, it's 1 strike and you're out, isn't it? I think if Motherwell are in a wee bit of trouble come the end of the season, well, not the end of the season, end of the calendar year, I think Kettlewell could very possibly be doing the job centre. I want to actually ask Robbie about that point with Rhys McCabe, because I've always thought this, right? If he wants to keep playing as a player manager, does he want to jump up the Premiership? Because, of course, if he wants to keep playing, is he actually going to fit into that St Johnstone team just off his ability? If you get where I'm coming from there, Robbie, what do you think about that?
I think he chucks the boots and puts the brogues on, so to speak.
Aye, right, okay.
Mitchell, who's your first manager to be out the door?
I'm going to jump on the Stuart Kettlewell bandwagon as well. For similar reasons as you guys have said already. I think just the mood around Motherwell, the fans don't seem to be all that convinced by him. I also watched the game against Partick Thistle, and they did not look great at all. Albeit their recruitment's been pretty good. I just think I'm anticipating a slow start and then a kind of reactive decision to that slow start being to fire Kettlewell and getting someone in, and I think it'll be fine come the end of the season.
My head says Craig Levein because I do, for the reasons I said earlier, I think he will be doing the full-time podcast, and I think he'll be the BBC's golden boy for a while because entertainment-wise, Craig Levin's up there with like Jack D at the moment. Like everything he says is just brilliant. Like I could genuinely listen to a 3-hour Craig Levein interview and it would be complete my entire life. I'm going to not say Craig Levein though because I've got a wee theory here that somebody can challenge me on. What's the opinions on David Gray being replaced as Hibs manager by the guy that sacks him, Malky Mackay?
No.
That's an inside job, isn't it? That's got to be an inside job.
That to me just seems
Malky's
too
making the bullets and
coincidental.
firing them.
He'll
And
be
then-
replaced. He'll be replaced by Charlie and Craig Lead for the Proclaimers.
Probably. Nah, I don't think so. I think you look at clubs like Hibs and you maybe want to even throw Man United into this bracket. It's about time they just stick with somebody. And I think the fact that they've brought Malky in to do this job, and like we say, it could be a nice wee setup for the start. Of course, it could be, and I could have the egg on my face here, but I think even look at Ten Hag down south, you look at Gray up here, and it's about time they stick with somebody. And they may be throwing shit at the wall and see what sticks here, but I think they're going to stick with him. I think game the season and then slow start, and then it'll be a reactionary one. And yes, Malky may take the reins after that.
I'm going with David Gray because I just think it's too coincidental. It seems very much like a Sopranos type organised hit. That's what it looks to me as. And David Gray could be the first one out the door, but Craig Levein could be as well.
It's
Right.
a House of Cards type stunt.
It is, isn't it? It's genuinely like something you would see in Netflix. Like it genuinely could. I wouldn't be surprised if this is like a Malky Mackay redemption arc that doesn't really do much. Right. I haven't told you about this, but I want an off the wall prediction. Just something random that comes to your head. Off the wall prediction. What we got, Robbie? I'll go to you first because your hands are out.
Is Rhys McCabe getting the St Johnstone job no enough?
I'll give you that. That's fine.
Is Kilmarnock getting 8th no enough? Is
That's
St Mirren
fine.
getting a League Cup no enough?
Rhys McCabe's fine. Graham, you had this last season, so you should be expecting this.
Well, does it have to be like Scottish Premier or First Division? Can it be something else?
You pick whatever. It could be south of Scotland if you want.
Okay. I don't think Steve Clark will see a lot of the Nations League.
You've stole mine, but I'll give you Steve Clark's mine as well. I think his time's up. Charlie, give us an off the wall prediction.
I think Steve Clark does see out the Nations League, but beyond that is questionable. Ayr United to finish second in the Championship. Sorry, I'm getting in everybody's good book today. Actually, that's what I'm doing. I actually thought Scott Brown was all right at Fleetwood, and then one thing led to another, especially with the owner down there as well. I mean, they got done for fraud or something like that, and then they spent money. Guys like Jack Marriott and all that didn't perform, and I think they're quite happy with Charlie Adam right enough. But no, and maybe being a Celtic supporter, that's slightly biased, but I back Bruni. I'm going to say Ayr United finish second. I know it's maybe not quite as creative as you'd like, Scott, but
I'll take that.
You put us on the spot there.
I'll take that. Mitchell, give us an off the wall prediction.
It's really quite boring. Obviously, you guys have said Clark to get started, which I wholeheartedly agree with. By the way, terrible performance in Germany once again in the major tournament. He's got to go for me. I think Derek McInnes will be the first person to be offered the job.
Right, we'll take it.
Yeah, I think so.
Right, I've had mine for a while and I've already discussed it. Inverness to get relegated. I can see them just completely going off the rails. Like,
Do you think a wee Edinburgh City point deduction might come into it, or do you think financially they're all right? Look, new owners, of course, have come in, but make what you want of them.
Aye, well,
Edinburgh City on League 2.
Aye. I mean, last season though, how they got a big point deduction and they were essentially done by about halfway through the season.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. I just think they're a complete bin fire. Like, I genuinely Duncan Ferguson could just one day he could do a Decanio and just walk from a mid-game.
Aye.
Like,
yeah.
I just thought that was a marriage made in hell to start with, because there's one thing managing Everton And then you've heard all the stuff about the Kelty fiasco, and the new owners just baffle me. Like, just their approach to Scottish football's some people approach to Scottish football's bad to begin with, but they've taken it to a whole nother level.
Can I just ask you a quick question, not based on that? Did anybody actually think Partick was going to get a replay after that Motherwell game? Because I didn't.
No.
Like, and again, I don't want to be this person who criticises with Scottish football, but if you'd said to any other person in the world that loves the game of football that a player didn't get on because their team sheet wasn't screenshotted right, imagine hearing that in England. Imagine hearing that in America. Just why are we so bad at things?
The league is back, ladies and gentlemen. The league is back.
And I don't want to end on a sour note, but again, you put money into Comet, you've put money... Like, there's two things that stand out for me this year. The Comet system is clearly not going to be used right, and a referee has been given the most senior job in refereeing, and that's all I'll say on the matter, because I don't want to get in trouble. That's where we're at with Scottish football. But again, one thing I will say in positive note, we've got a bit more... We're back, and we've got a bit more to watch, because fair play to Premier Sports. They've taken a few more games over. Dundee and Hearts, I'm looking forward to that. Just fingers crossed that there's nothing shambolic this season, but knowing Scottish football, we'll take a week and we'll already be in there. There's a lot happening on the channel in terms of our Scottish football content. SM Media FC will be a regular feature on the podcast network on here, so stay tuned for that. To my guest tonight, all I can say is I can't thank them all enough. First of all, Robbie Boyd, pleasure, mate. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. I loved it. And I am counting down the minutes and hours to May to review this absolute shambles.
Yeah, absolutely. To Graham Duthie, mate, thank you very much. All the best.
Cheers, mate. Or Drudy, mate. Mitchell, but it was nice to meet the other two guys as well.
And to Charlie Whelan as well. Good first appearance, mate. Thank you very much. We'll see you later on in the season.
Oh, you will. May I plug my most recent episode that I'm going to bring?
Fire away.
Well, for those of you that are wondering about my East 5 prediction there, as I say, I interviewed somebody that will be very pivotal to any success they have this season, so please do stay tuned for that one.
I will just say Dick Campbell was the best interview I ever had. Like, genuinely the funniest guy ever. There's a story he tells about the late great Craig Brown. I urge anybody to listen to it.
I'll share it. I know I didn't exactly reveal it or anything, but it is easily the least amount of questions I've ever asked, and it must be about 5, because he just went for it. He just went for it.
Tremendous person in Scottish football.
Great guy.
And to Mitchell Fagans as well. Thank you very much, mate. I'll see you soon.
Yeah, no, it's nice to be back on. Good fun, although it might not be so fun when we come to May and we're all getting we'll all get egg in our face for these stinking predictions. But yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, the team will be back in May to go through their predictions. But all I can say is best of luck to everyone for the new season, and enjoy it when it comes. We'll see you all soon. Thank you.